Well, folks, Walt Disney World has gone out of their way to all across the board implement all kinds of things when it comes to health and safety standards in this COVID world. And we've watched as they have gone to great lengths to make sure that everybody is, number one, as comfortable as possible, but number two, there's no way in which anybody can claim that there are some unhealthy things going on or a potential for things to occur that might contribute to an unhealthy environment during this pandemic. One of the things that they have added this week is something that we noticed for the first time just a couple days ago, and that is no more eating or drinking in attraction queue spaces. So if you're in line for, say, any sort of classic attraction, like say you're in line for Dumbo, say you are about to ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, they are now asking that you do not remove your mask to consume anything while in line. There are even new signs that are just outside of each attraction that indicate that at this point, this is it. This is where you stop eating and drinking for the sake of everybody. So it looks like, Tyler and Katrina, they are finally clamping down on that rule. And they did it early on, where initially you were given the freedom to, while walking, eat and drink. And of course that got abused immediately. And of course people were using that as an excuse to keep their mask down the entire time and just keep a cup near their face. So that got wiped away. Now you have to only eat and drink while stationary is their rule. But we've now seen that they're taking that a step further all these months later since reopening. And Katrina, now they're saying not while you're in line either.
I'm okay with it, but because again, people abused it, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, I'm just gonna leave my mask down this whole time and just slowly eat all my food and have this popcorn and whatever. And so it's just like, thanks a lot for abusing it. So now we all can't eat and drink quickly or whatever while we're in line if we have a popcorn or whatever, and just to, waste some time and then just while you're in line waiting. But anyway, so now you
ruined
can't do
it for all of us.
Thanks a lot. But, I'm happy with it. I think that it's fair. I think it's kind of a bummer for children because I'm sure like they want to, it's going to be hard to explain to the kids like, okay, no, we can't have popcorn right now because you're going to be wanting to eat it and we can't eat it right now. So let's get it afterwards. Yeah. But then how do you finish your popcorn within, it's meant to like slowly eat versus shoving in your face and then getting on another ride. So that's like the only bummer part.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do this earlier, to be honest. I kind of thought that it came with the territory of like, don't, like only take off your mask if you're sitting in an area. Like I kind of thought that they kind of were hand in hand, but I guess now they have to be more specific about it, which I think is a good thing personally. It's a kind of a bummer in the way that like, it's always a good time to get a soda or a beer or something like that and just drink it while you're waiting in a long line. I get it, but I think it's better for everybody. So I'm on board.
To a certain degree, I think it's worth noting that most lines at Walt Disney World at the moment, because attendance is sort of capped and that capacity is limited, typically lines move fairly quick. So, to really be worried about, I'm standing in line for an hour, waiting to get on a classic attraction, which typically would have happened, right? Like you would have been waiting in line for an hour for Splash Mountain or Big Thunder Mountain. And so, having some sort of sustenance with you is probably quite helpful, especially if you're maybe somebody with health problems or, diabetic and, you're looking for that blood sugar. Yeah. And so I can understand the legitimate concern that some people have. But as of right now, most lines move fairly quick. Most times, by the way, that I noticed while I was out there, were completely misquoted on the boards in front of the attractions.
Isn't it always, though?
Yeah, but far more now than ever. I was noticing that everywhere I went, if it said 45 minutes on the outside, typically it was 10 to 15. Wow. And I was kind of blown away by how much quicker it was to get into those attractions.
Well, I think a lot of people forget that without, like, Fast Pass is really the thing that slows these lines down so much. And without Fast Pass being around, things are so much quicker, even though they are still, staggering loading of vehicles and stuff like that in a lot of these rides. Just the absence of Fast Pass makes it kind of cool. I don't know. It's kind of nice in a way, but I still like getting my Fast Passes and kind of having that plan of what we're doing. So I don't want Fast Passes to go away, but it's just a reminder of how much they slow the actual standby line
They
down.
definitely impact the overall capacity and movement throughout the parks, and always have. So great point to make. Hey, over in Disney Springs, a couple things are going on. We want to mention that the M&M store that was quickly coming to Disney Springs out there in Orlando, was on its way and was going to be premiering likely Thanksgiving or just after Thanksgiving. That was kind of what they were set for. However, it looks like the store is now delayed to 2021. This seems like a great space, Disney Springs, for an M&M store, of all places to do an M&M store, or, the World of Coke, kind of like they have over in Disney Springs already. These sort of anchor stores for these fun brands. Great idea. I think it'll be really well suited for a Disney Springs atmosphere. But it looks like they are delayed temporarily and will be opening come the new year. I feel really bad. There were a lot of vendors and third-party businesses that were trying to open up this year throughout Disney Springs, that some of them made it, some of them didn't, and other places that had been around closed, as we have seen. That's unfortunate to know that this was the year you were going to try and open something new, because it's been so hard on businesses that are already established, that have already opened up just to survive. So to say, you were going to pump a bunch of resources into opening this year, that's got to sting a little bit to know that you got to kick it down the road a little bit, right, Tyler?
It is, but I mean, especially for the smaller businesses, I'm not that worried about M&Ms. Mars is going to be fine, but it's bad for the smaller businesses. But I'm willing to wait longer for the M&M store. I mean, I've been to the one in Vegas and in London, and one of the things that's really cool about the M&M store is like going to the big wall of M&Ms and like kind of putting together the colors that you want, and they have all these weird colors that don't come in an actual pack of M&Ms and stuff like that. So I think that's cool, and I just don't know how you would do that with COVID right now, with everybody going up and pulling on the same handles, right? So it just, probably needs to be delayed. Probably one of their biggest sellers is that type of stuff, because they charge so much money for just a different color M&M. But
they taste different because of the color.
We got to do that Rhett and Link thing, that good mythical morning thing where they like try and taste colors. We'll try and figure that out.
Red
someday.
tastes like strawberry.
Yes, I just don't think it's true.
We all knew that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite M&M?
Blue.
Yeah. Have you ever had like the peanut butter M&Ms or the peanut M&Ms?
Peanut butter M&Ms are so good.
Ah.
I love them.
Peanut butters are my favorite.
They're
I usually get a little bag of those when I go to the movies. If they've got like the bulk candy that you can choose from, I always get my peanut butter M&Ms. Elsewhere in Disney Springs, though, we want to mention that it looks like the testing that was going on when it comes to the new security screening process, they were doing this at one parking garage when Disney Springs had reopened back in May, and they were testing out those new contactless security screening systems. Those like pillars that you can just walk through, and they don't really have to touch anything anymore. Security doesn't have to look through your bag. Mainly, you can just walk on through and there's no problem. And they've started introducing these at all the theme parks across Walt Disney World, saving everybody a heck of a lot of time. We've talked about it in long form here before, where these things just save you not only time, but also hassle. And if you're watching us, you're seeing a video right now of how these work for kind of major event venues and lots of people all coming through one main portal. Well, it turns out that not only are they using these for most of the theme parks now, they're also putting these at all of the entry points for Disney Springs, where, as before, they only had that one that they were testing out in the parking garage. And then you could really just free flow through all of the areas in Disney Springs, and it wasn't necessarily an issue. Well, now they have these security checkpoints that you have to pass through in order to obtain entry to the property itself. This is good news from the perspective of, I think back to the Orlando massacre that occurred several years ago, the Pulse nightclub shooting. It's far too forgotten, I should say, that the person that carried that out first stopped by Disney Springs. And that's something that nobody talks about, but first stopped by Disney Springs and was casing Disney Springs to potentially carry out that style of an attack. From that point forward, I think there's always been a legitimate security concern about big open air mall-like atmospheres like a Disney Springs, where you have tens of thousands of people all very close together, and on top of it, it's got that Disney stamp on it, so there's a lot of women and children there. So it's nice to know that finally the security measures have been put into place to at least screen everybody that's entering, because before that wasn't really an option because there were so many entry points into Disney Springs, it didn't seem to matter. Nice to see this is happening, Katrina.
I'm really happy to see this happening, because every time we would go in, I would always every time we would just drive in, I would always like look to Tyler and be like, why isn't this being a checkpoint? Like, why don't they have security at Disney Springs? That doesn't make any sense. Like, they check you everywhere else and they don't do it here. And yet there's so many people that come here all the time and they do it at Disneyland. So why don't they do it here? And it always just amazed me that they never did. So I'm really happy that they did. Bummer, though. Now we can't bring our barbecue and start a barbecue over there by Raglan Road.
How am I going to get my hot dogs?
Sorry, Garrett.
How am I going
our
to get my kosher
barbecue's
hot
canceled.
dogs?
That's rough.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that we're going to be safer because it always made me feel uneasy with how many people, like, even during Christmas, it's just packed there. You can't move and there's just so many bodies. So just that one person can damage so many people.
Yep.
And ruin everything. So I'm really happy that they're doing this because it was needed.
And the nice part about this, Tyler, is that, as we've talked about before with this system, you're virtually not even bothered. You just walk right past these pillars and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's really actually amazing technology. I wish I kind of want to look at one of their screens and like see exactly what they're seeing and how this is working. I did find one shortcoming with the whole system when I was in Florida, which is they want you to take out your umbrella of all things. Yeah, so and you have to take out your umbrella and then hold it in front of you, because I didn't know that when I first was coming through, when it was going to be possibly a rainy day, and they pulled me aside and then they're like, okay, put your umbrella on the front next time. I'm like, okay. So I would really love to see what they're doing, but the technology is amazing. I'm happy that you can quickly go through security and do it at Disney Springs now. And I think it's a positive change. And if you think about it too, this is a nice thing where they always hesitated to put security at Disney, like in the beginning, you know, like very long ago at this point, because they felt like it was going to take you kind of out of the whole Disney situation. It was going to remind you of the real world, like things like that. Now you're just walking past a couple of blue things. It's really not, you know, it's really a lot different than somebody rifling through all your stuff. And
think they're going to decorate it like all Disney-fied and stuff?
They should, right?
That would be fun.
Just like little Mickey Mouse like pictures and stuff around
and through
there,
the
being
holidays,
like, "Welcome,
put Santa hats on.
Don't mind us."
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, that'd be cute. Let's do it.
Well, it's some unfortunate news across Walt Disney World. We've also heard that the Minivan service, which had been preemptively suspended going into the reopening of Walt Disney World, they've offered an update, Disney has, when it comes to that service, where it's essentially Uber Disney style. For anybody that doesn't understand what minivans do, they can pick you up via the Lyft app, and you can decide to take a cast member-driven vehicle to your destination. But they've offered an update, Disney has, when it comes to service as it relates to transfers to Orlando International Airport. Their official statement says Minivan service is temporarily unavailable at Walt Disney World. Please note that Minivan service to and from Orlando International Airport will not be available for bookings until further notice, including as either a package, add-on, or standalone option. We are working with guests with existing Minivan bookings to arrange alternate transportation during their stay. I think one of the big concerns that I have in all of this is so much has already been eliminated across the board when it comes to Walt Disney World staffing and services. This seems like one of those things that I never really saw catch on like wildfire. I think they were anticipating it was going to. You would see the minivans everywhere. I would never see anybody in the backseat.
Because they're so expensive.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. Unless you needed like the only reason it made sense is if you needed like a child seat or something like that. But other than that, the first time we did it, we were like under the impression that they were going to give us water or something. That didn't happen. Did we tell the story about Animal Kingdom the one time?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't know, maybe.
Anyway,
that story.
They dropped us. Uber drops you off right at the front of Animal Kingdom, and this guy driving the minivan talking it up so much. Oh, we drop you off in the front. It's the biggest, coolest thing ever. And we're like, cool, awesome.
Right in the action.
And then we were all the way at the end of the bus stop. So it was like, this is worse than Uber, and I'm paying twice as much. So it didn't even make any sense.
It was like 3 times as much usually, because we were at like Magic Kingdom or like we're at the Contemporary or something, so it shouldn't be like that much. And then it was just like, and I remember them talking it up at D23. Remember they had like a prototype minivan at the D23 before, and they're like, this is like never before seen. And I swear to God, they said that they were giving, it was like a luxury kind of thing. They had like baby seats, water, whatever, you know, like things to plug in your phone. So then that's when I was like, okay, yeah, it's like we we're strapped for time. We need to make our fast pass. Let's do a minivan. It'll drop us right in the action. And then I was thirsty, so I was like, "Oh, do you have water?" And he's like, "No." And I was like,
Yeah.
and so I was like, "Okay, that really sucks." And then we were like going into like that 1 hour mark, like we're literally gonna miss our fast pass, and then we had to like book it from the back of the buses, and then buses just stopped, so we had all the people coming off the buses.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, "This is like the worst." And I was like, "I never want to do this again." I think we did it one more time, and it was like a $50 ride, and I was like,
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing, I guess, besides a child seat that makes sense for the money is you're getting that Disney touch. You're not getting some random guy who just wants his tip and then he's going to leave you and not talk to you the whole time and be kind of weird or whatever. You're going to get the cast member who wants to make your day better and make it special. And so that was another reason to do it, but it still was a lot of money. And
the airport one, that was the one I'm most sad about.
Sure.
Because that's like the Disney kiss, you know, like you don't have to get an Uber. It's like Disney-fied.
That
you know?
mini decorated van shows up with all the polka dots
like,
to pick
that's
you
like,
up,
That's the start of our vacation. I
whisk
get
you
it.
away.
But to go from one park to another park, it's not worth it.
So was I the
Very
only one that
costly.
was confused as well? That I thought that like minivans were going to just be done, but it sounds like with this story that they're planning on, they're keeping it in the background for now and they could bring it back. Was I the only one confused by that?
I thought they were done too.
Okay.
Yeah. So to hear this announcement made me think, oh, is there a hope for life here? Which is great.
Yeah.
I just, I've taken it myself and I feel that it is vastly overpriced. And other than, I'll say in all the experiences that I've had, other than the drop off for Magic Kingdom, because it drops you off where the buses drop you off. And obviously, if you've ever visited Magic Kingdom, parking in general and trying to pick up an Uber means you have to cross Seven Seas Lagoon and go all the way back to the transportation and ticket center, and it's a whole process, especially at the end of the night when everybody's trying to do the same thing. It's really nice to have those minivans pull right up curbside and you can jump in. However, all those extra perks that Katrina was mentioning, that I remember them mentioning during D23 when they were introducing the concept, I don't see those perks either when I'm in those minivans, and I think that was a big sell point was, oh, you're just going to be taken care of from point A to point Z. I didn't get that
Even
either.
with the small little Dasani water, I would have been happy with, and like a thing to plug in my phone to have it charged while we're driving. Like I have Uber drivers that offer me water,
Same here.
and like little
Or have
cords. Like, do you have a
awesome
cord? Do you
chargers,
need a cord? I'm
Right.
like, yes, I do need a cord.
Always check where those cords are going, by the way, so that they don't steal your information. Anyway, that's a
True.
side.
Lift all your intel, and suddenly your banking info is gone. Yes,
Oh my
yes.
god.
Well, at any rate, while we hope to see the minivan service sort of resuscitated in some regard, maybe reworked, now we know for sure that everything is off the table when it comes to minivan service currently, and we will certainly wait to see what happens to that.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.